Bills Chiefs would be in Atlanta. Neutral site, the NFL announced, which my theory is the NFL wants to test out, good opportunity for them to test out neutral site conference championship games, which
You
I
think
would.
that'd be good for the NFL?
No, I think it'd be bad. I think what would actually turn out being good for the 12-team playoff is the home sites that'll happen early. And I think taking NFL games off of home sites would be crazy. The other thing is the NFL stadiums are where you play neutral site games. Like, college football plays neutral site games if they play them in NFL stadiums. They play them in Vegas. They play them in SoFi. They play them in Jerry World. They play them in Atlanta. They play them in New Orleans. So we're going to play NFL is going to have NFC and AFC conference championship games predetermined at non-playoff team sites, or what? Well, it doesn't make any sense.
To me,
the only neutral site game for the AFC championship I think would be appropriate is if the Raiders play at home in Allegiant. That's a neutral site. Actually, it's a road game, probably.
I'm a big believer in the elements in football. Like, you could make the argument that, like, the Big Ten, when they go neutral site for the conference championship, it's a dome. I'm pretty sure none of those teams play in a dome, right?
It is the most. The Big Ten playing in a dome is like a different sport than the Big Ten plays the rest of the year. It makes no sense. It actually does make sense in the sense that you just make sure Ohio State, Michigan is not going to get in some mud game with Purdue and lose. So I guess from that standpoint, it makes sense.
You could argue that the non-Power 5 conferences, where they have the team with the best record host the conference championship game, very NFL-like.
Yeah.
I actually like that.
I do too.
Would you be against if college football, the conference championship, the team with the better record hosts the game? Kind of NFL style?
Would I be against it? I would not be against it, although I do think what's been established where you have you're at the same neutral site each league knows where the neutral site game is every year. It's the same place.
Yeah.
And so it
SEC,
kind of becomes
Atlanta,
a de facto
Indy.
kind of,
it's kind of
this is our place.
Yeah.
If you play neutral site games in the NFL, it's not your place. It's somebody else's NFL stadium. Unless you play like the Horseshoe, which, 100,000 big house.
Not a terrible idea.
Not a terrible idea, actually. 100, because you can get more people in.
I'm not a huge fan of neutral site games, just in general. It works in conference championships a little bit because, like you said, every single person in the South knows, we're playing to get to Atlanta, to play to basically be the number one seed. Right? It's like a build-up. But you could argue, and Vegas is cool, but would it be cooler if just USC or Utah had hosted the game? Because I always think playoff games are pretty sweet, right?
Yeah, I mean, part of the
Minnesota's going to be badass 10 minutes before that Minnesota Viking Giants game when they just go to Skull. It's going to look sweet.
Part of a college game getting played at a neutral site is usually the neutral site game is it's just newer, right? It's kind of like you guys have earned the chance to play on the big course, right? That's, to me, when it's a college team, when it's two college teams, you're playing in these beautiful stadiums that are nicer probably than your college stadium. So it feels like everyone's kind of stepping up to the big leagues a little bit, right?
True, but if you're Michigan, you have way more people at your stadium than you do in the Indy, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And then factoring in this one, I hate that they're doing it in a dome because the three best teams, and honestly, I mean, it would be a major shock if Cincinnati, Buffalo, or Kansas City does not win the AFC. I would say they're home when they're playing at home. The weather is a massive factor in all three places because they're all freezing cold. It feels like Kansas City and Buffalo specifically. I hate that they went dome. Now, in fairness to them, you see, I think Indy turned them down, not because they didn't want them there, because Adele's playing or what. They just don't. These things are all rented out. So some of these, I would imagine their options were pretty limited at a lot of NFL stadiums because. Just go to your tickets website. There are concerts at some of these places. There are events. There's fucking monster truck. I mean, this is where they make their cash, right? Jim Irsay probably loves the off season because you make a bunch of money. I know Jeffrey Lurie used to. The thing is always sold out.
Yeah, the only way Kid Lou says owners would never go for it. The only way you would have to find ways to make more money for everybody. Which,
how much more would you really make though? This is what
would you make, and is it worth diluting what the television product is to make a little more on the? I don't even, like you said, how much? You're not making more in the gate, right? unless you just charge more and it's just it's like the AFC is always in Indy, the NFC is always in Atlanta, or they're always in Vegas. People can plan in advance. You're just going to charge more, it becomes a corporate event. Maybe somehow you make more money that way, but
I like an outdoor football game more.
yeah, well, that for sure.